Between 1967 and 1970, up to 3 million people starved to death in southeastern Nigeria. Not because there was no food, because a government blockade made sure food could not reach them. Starvation was not a consequence of this war. It was a strategy. And the British government, while publicly expressing concern for Biafran civilians, was privately supplying the weapons and diplomatic cover that made the blockade possible. The children you have seen in those black and white photographs with swollen stomachs and stick arms, that was not a natural disaster. That was a decision made in a government meeting room, and nobody has ever been charged for it. To understand Biafra, you must first understand what Nigeria was in 1960. At independence, Nigeria was celebrated as the great hope of Africa, the most populous black nation on earth, a functioning democracy, a growing economy, multiple ethnic groups, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, and hundreds more, bound together in one constitutional framework. The Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria were among the most educated and entrepreneurially active communities on the continent. Igbo doctors staffed hospitals in Kano. Igbo engineers built infrastructure in Lagos. Igbo civil servants administered offices across the north and west. They had spread across Nigeria because they believed in Nigeria. That belief was about to cost them everything. In January 1966, a group of Nigerian military officers, predominantly Igbo, carried out a coup. The political fallout was immediate. Northern Nigerian leaders saw the coup as an Igbo power grab. In July 1966, a counter-coup killed the first military head of state, General Igi Ironsi, an Igbo man, and replaced him with General Yakubu Gowon. Then in September and October 1966, the pogroms began. In Kano, Kaduna, Jos, and cities across northern Nigeria, Igbo civilians were attacked. Between 10,000 and 30,000 Igbo people were killed. Men dragged from offices. Families pulled from homes. The Igbo who survived fled south. Over 1 million people, walking, on lorries, on any vehicle that would carry them, back to the southeast, back to the only place that still felt like home. And in the southeast, the question was no longer whether to stay in Nigeria. It was whether Nigeria was worth staying in at all. On May 30th, 1967, Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu declared the Independent Republic of Biafra. The rising sun on the new Biafran flag represented a new beginning for the Igbo and other southeastern peoples who felt Nigeria had failed them. General Yakubu Gowon, the federal head of state, declared the secession illegal and launched a military campaign to reunify the country by force. He told Nigeria and the world it would be over in 48 hours. It lasted 30 months. And in those 30 months, the federal government made a decision that would define the war's legacy forever. They blockaded Biafra. No food in, no medicine in. The only route for relief supplies was a nighttime airlift that could not come close to feeding the population trapped inside. Kwashiorkor swept through the children of Biafra. The images that reached the world, the swollen stomachs, the matchstick limbs, the eyes too large for the face, those images gave the world a new word. Biafra became a synonym for famine. But it was not famine. It was policy. In October 1967, federal Nigerian soldiers entered the town of Asaba on the western bank of the Niger River. Asaba was an Igbo town. The soldiers gathered the men and boys of the town in the main square. They were told they were being assembled for a reconciliation ceremony. They danced. They sang. They believed the war had passed them by. Then the soldiers opened fire. Between 700 and 1,000 Igbo men and boys were killed in Asaba in a single afternoon. The order was given by military commanders within the Federal Nigerian Army, whose names appear in survivor testimony and in the academic research that has documented this massacre for decades. The Nigerian government has never officially acknowledged the Asaba massacre. Not one official acknowledgement. Not one apology. Not one memorial funded by the federal government. The people of Asaba have been remembering alone for over 50 years. When the war ended in January 1970, General Yakubu Gowon stood before Nigeria and said 3 words that became the official version of what had happened. No victor, no vanquished. It sounded like reconciliation. What it actually meant was no accountability. Because what the federal government did next told you everything about what no victor, no vanquished really meant. Every Igbo person who had held a bank account before the war was told they could reclaim exactly 20 pounds. 20 pounds. Regardless of how much they had saved, regardless of what they had built. A doctor who had practiced for 20 years, 20 pounds. A business owner who had employed 50 people, 20 pounds. A family that had saved for a generation, 20 pounds. The wealth of an entire people, wiped out by a government policy. With 20 pounds they were told to start again. And in the same breath, the federal government began redistributing Igbo-owned properties in the north and west to non-Igbo Nigerians. What was taken was never returned. And the story does not end in 1970. Today in Nigeria, Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra movement, sits in prison. He was arrested, his trial was conducted, and a Nigerian court upheld proceedings against him. Justice Bintanyako has been the judge presiding over his case, a case that human rights organizations have described as politically motivated. A man imprisoned for advocating for the recognition of what happened to his people, 55 years after the war ended. The question of Biafra is not history. It is a courtroom in Abuja right now. We have now covered on this page My Lai, The Zone, Tulsa, Novichirkowsk, Morant Bay, and now Biafra. And we are going deeper. Coming to this page very soon, the Nanjing Massacre, the Amritsar Massacre, the Katyn Forest, the Oradour-sur-Glane Massacre in France, the Herero Genocide in Namibia, the Armenian Genocide, the Comfort Women of Japan, the Move bombing in Philadelphia, the Sand Creek Massacre, the Wounded Knee Massacre, country by country, continent by continent, USA, Canada, Singapore, Guyana, Malaysia, the Netherlands, Indonesia, China, the Philippines, Japan, and yes, North Korea. Every nation, every buried story. Do you want us to keep naming the generals, the politicians, and the officials who gave these orders? Yakubu Gowon maintained the blockade that starved millions of children. The commanders at Asaba, whose names appear in the testimony of survivors who watched their fathers and brothers fall in a town square. Comment yes below if you want every name in every future video. Now drop your country below. Where are you watching from? Because this series goes to your country next if you tell us where you are. And I want to know, which massacre, which genocide, which buried atrocity from your nation do you want us to dig into? The comment with the most response decides where we go next. We are also looking for odd archive country captains, people in different countries who love history and want to help carry these stories to the audiences that need them most. If that is you, comment your country or send us a DM. We are selecting representatives from different nations to help grow this community globally. Share this video right now. Someone in your life thinks the Biafran War was just an African civil war that ended in 1970. Show them Asaba. Show them 20 pounds. Show them Nnamdi Kanu in a courtroom in Abuja in 2024. Show them that this story is not over. Find us on YouTube, search Official The Odd Archive, and subscribe. Because the next story we are dropping, a government destroyed every document that could prove what it did. They missed one, and we found it.